Persona 5's Take Your Time tagline has unlocked a newfound perspective on video games for me, as it has simultaneously engrossed me into its gameplay and its story, while also making me want to put the game down for extended periods of time. Now, how can that be possible? If you become completely engrossed into a video game, it only makes sense that you're going to seek to get back into that game world as often as you can. But Persona 5 is different, and to me, that can be traced back to the game's consistent efforts telling you, as the player, to take your time. That's advice I took pretty seriously, considering the game came out 5 months ago and I'm just now making this video. Yikes, but that aside, the Take Your Time tagline seeped into my mind, and I was conscious of that idea the whole time I was playing, and even eventually it permeated my mind when the game was shut off. Because you see, the Take Your Time tagline message, that isn't just the developer's way of getting you to slow down and appreciate the experience of the game, it's trying to condition you to enjoy the experience of life's moments, both big and small. That's an idea I'd like to explore more in today's video. My name is NopeNapNarp, and let's jump straight into today's video on Persona 5. First, let's address the controversy. Atlus, the development team behind Persona 5, originally released a message alongside the game that set strict guidelines for anyone hoping to stream this game through services like Twitch. They said that their main reason for this is that they didn't want online spoilers to ruin the experience for other players. And Atlus received a lot of backlash for this decision. Many dedicated Twitch streamers wanted to share this game with their audience, but just couldn't out of fear of Atlus's retaliation. At first, I agreed with many other people who said it was a PR mistake that left Atlus looking kinda crappy. But as I finished Persona 5, I've begun to understand their thought process in making that decision. One of the most important elements of this game is that it is an everyday life simulator. You can't see what's to come in the future in real life, and I think Atlus wanted to maintain that theme throughout their game. They didn't want the story to be spoiled for other players because then it loses part of the charm of being an everyday life simulator. Now that's a completely subjective thought, but I feel it may have influenced their initial decision. That aside, I'd like to speak more about why Persona 5 is a fantastic life simulator and the important lessons that it can teach you on how to live your own life. Now, we all know that Persona 5 is a JRPG that has been praised for many reasons amongst the video game community, and one of those reasons is because of its dedication to the theme of time management. The game offers you many paths to take during your free time, whether it's exploring dungeons called mementos, hanging out with your friends to boost benefits related to those relationships, or just doing everyday activities like seeing a movie, studying, or going to the spa. However, you have a limited amount of time, and that's of course mainly due to Morgana's constant nagging that, hey, you need to get some sleep, bud. I mean, damn cat, how many teenagers do you know that get a regular 8 hours of sleep every night? Huh? I don't think very many. But that aside, this limited amount of time means that you must choose what activities will bring about the best results for you in your current situation. And think about this for a moment. That idea is very much akin to real life. Whether you are a student in school or an adult in the workforce, we all have limited amounts of free time. Therefore, this theme of time management and of opportunity cost is instantly super relatable to so many of the players. And this sets the basis that allows the game to explore ideas such as alone time, or appreciating the little moments, or overcoming the mundane monotony of everyday life patterns and finding time for the important things in life. It's really easy to get caught up in Persona 5's monotonous patterns. You wake up, you ride the bus to school, you sit in class, and then finally, if you're lucky, you're given some free time to choose what you want to do as long as the story isn't pulling you in one direction. And these moments where you decide how to use your free time are incredibly relatable. I mean, we've all had those moments where multiple people are inviting you out somewhere, and you end up asking yourself questions like, who should I go with? Where will I have the most amount of fun? Would some alone time be better for my mood? Or should I be doing something more productive like studying? These questions popped into my mind while playing Persona 5 as I tried to live the life of an honest student. There were many moments where I followed the game's advice and took my time to think about what would I do if this was a real life situation. When finals were coming up, I'd spend my afternoons and evenings studying. After overcoming the challenge of a palace, I'd usually spend some time relaxing alone, whether that meant going to the hot tubs or catching a movie. And when I felt I was low on cash, I'd choose to go work at that beef bowl shop to bring in that sweet, sweet yen. Every non-scripted day in this game is filled with little options like this, much like in real life, and there's a reason Persona 5 tells you to take your time. It's to make you think critically about how limited our time truly is. The game will end, as will your life someday, but the experiences we have during our time is what ultimately defines us. And many times these moments come when we go out and do something that isn't really expected of us or isn't obviously beneficial to us in some way. For example, one night I decided that my character had done enough studying over the last few days, and so I elected to use my time to hang out with Ryuji and Mishima. It just so happened that this was the section where Kawakami, a teacher at the school, is revealed to be a maid-for-hire, which triggered the option to pursue her as a confidant. This moment was incredible. I genuinely felt like it was a classic teenage moment of, oh shit, this is crazy, which was paired with the excitement of having a new person come into your life. It's a little moment that really stood out for me, and it was because of my decision to take my time to understand the motivations and personality of the other characters, and because it's just so unique compared to the monotony of the other activities. In other words, it felt like a moment that could genuinely happen in real life. It was around this point in the story that I started thinking about how Persona 5 can teach you a lesson on how to live your own life. Let's face it, as you age, it is incredibly easy to get sucked into certain patterns of living. You wake up, you go about your morning routine, you go to work or you go to school, you come home, and maybe you mindlessly exist through some leisure time, you go to bed, rinse and repeat the next day. Psychology tells us that our brains love patterns because they're safe and they're predictable. Feelings and memories, on the other hand, are triggered when these patterns are broken, and that's why moments like I spoke of with Ryuji, Mishima, and Kawakami stand out so much, because they're different. It's the game's way of telling you, hey, go out, take some risks, spend time with your friends, crazy things will happen. I mean, think back to your own childhood. I'm sure you have at least one, if not many, stories about crazy or unusual events that happened when you were on a late-night adventure with your friends, or maybe even your family. These bizarre moments happen in all our lives and can certainly strengthen the relationship we have with the people around us. However, despite their departure from normality, even these moments can pass by forgotten. That's why it is important to follow the game's advice. Take your time in life and appreciate those moments as they are happening. Your memories of them later will be better off for it, and I genuinely believe your quality of life will improve if you seek these moments and truly appreciate them. But a lot of the time in life, we are forced to exist in the mundane, and Persona 5 accounts for that too. There are many times in this game when you hang out with your friends and something memorable doesn't happen. On top of that, there are countless moments where your character will sit through an activity by themselves, whether it's reading, watching TV, playing a video game, or even studying. These little moments can also build characteristics, but can quickly lead to a sedentary lifestyle if they go unappreciated and unevaluated. We are susceptible to systematic patterns that are somewhat unavoidable in life. Persona 5 is simply trying to get you as the player to appreciate those moments more instead of just glossing over them. Throughout the game, the take your time tagline never disappears. I mean, it's there literally throughout the entire game, and it has encouraged me to think deeper about how seemingly mundane activities can influence who you are and your traits, even if it's just on a small scale. For example, there are many times in game where your character takes a few minutes to read on the subway. Moments like these are seemingly forgettable, but they can still provide benefits to you. In game, you may receive knowledge just like you would in a real-life equivalent of that situation. The game, on the other hand, shows you the increase in knowledge, and that's the game's way of getting you to notice the worth of that moment instead of just glancing over it. It is important for us to take the time to analyze and criticize these seemingly plain activities more deeply instead of just accepting their existence and moving on. And as I begin to wrap up this video, I fear that I will sound like I'm just saying some hipster bullshit on the internet for views, but that really isn't the case. I have tried taking the take your time concept and applying it to my life more often since playing Persona 5, and I feel better off for doing so. I've tried thinking more critically about my relationships and attempting to maximize my bonds with the people around me, usually just by spending more time with them. Because you see, it's not just a game mechanic, it's a life mechanic. Of course, in real life, the bond doesn't produce some benefit in elaborate palaces or dungeons. It instead gives you a more powerful reward: happiness. I love video games to the point where if I go a day without playing them, I start to feel a sense of withdrawal, and that probably isn't healthy for me. Persona 5's simple tagline of take your time is helping me to overcome that. Not only does it give you a truly great JRPG to explore, it also reminds you to take breaks and that there's more to life than just your hobbies. I've never been so compelled to play a game while also simultaneously wanting to put it down to experience what real life has to offer more than I have with Persona 5. Games like The Witcher 3, Wild Hunt, and Dark Souls are amongst my favorites of all times and has certainly sucked me into their worlds, but never has a game made me want to put it down in the best way possible like Persona 5 has. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like, comment, or subscribing. My name is NopeNapNarp. Enjoy the rest of your day, and take care.